Hi everyone, and welcome back to Sit in It for a Bit with Arne and Carlos, and we are, as always, your hosts.
Arne and Carlos.
And this is like our eighth time trying to film this podcast. We are back in Norway after a very eventful trip in Canada, and we are still tired and quite jet-lagged. We've got a 9-hour time difference to work through. So if we do say silly things, please forgive us. We'll blame it on the jet lag.
Yeah.
So, anyway, we are back and ready to recap everything that happened in Canada and talk about all the things that we have been up to lately.
Yeah, and we have met so many nice people, and we came home with a lot of gifts. We haven't opened all the suitcases or the bags yet, so there's still things popping up.
Yeah.
But we brought out some stuff so we can show you, and we have also done some shopping.
Yeah, and that reminds me, Arne, I have to open the suitcase because I have to wash my shirts because we're going to London in a couple of days. So we are quite busy right now on the road, and this is turning out to be the busiest time of the year for us, starting in April and going on until June. So May will be very hectic for sure.
But it's fun. It's nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's life.
It's life.
Yeah.
And we started our Canada trip we flew into Toronto, and then we flew to Quebec, and then we met the group, and I managed to find this very nice antique store. Actually, there were stores.
Oops, sorry.
I think it's called the Art District or something in Quebec. And I went down there one day, and I saw this cup.
Oh yeah, that's a very nice cup.
A very beautiful cup with the flower inside.
And it's nice because it's got that scalloped edge, and the plate has got a scalloped edge. I love a scalloped edge, I have to say.
Yeah, I haven't tried them yet. I think this has to be washed in by hand because of all the gold.
Yeah, they look old. They are from where? They are Royal Stewart, so they're English. Bone china, and they've got the gold decor that probably isn't dishwasher safe. I've always loved the scalloped edge, and this is all very
the color
lovely.
is like Tiffany blue, kind of.
Yeah,
almost.
You've got a Tiffany
blue.
So
I went down, I saw that one, and I didn't buy it, and I went back to the room, and I was thinking about the cup, and the next morning I went down again, and I said to the lady, I saw this cup yesterday, and I decided I need it, and then I saw this one.
Oh yeah.
So suddenly this is the Swedish flag.
Mm-hmm. The Swedish flag.
Suddenly we have...
Not really, because that's not the right blue.
No, but blue and yellow.
Yeah.
These are so beautiful. So I think I've started a new collection now.
Yeah.
And I managed to get them home without breaking anything. So I had them in my backpack. So that was a nice find.
Yeah, and I don't drink coffee, so those will be reserved for Arne and his guests. I meanwhile always drink from, I love these willow teacups, so cheers for that. I'm drinking tea, by the way, it's tea. And I also got saucers, very lovely. We came home from our Canadian trip, and a lovely little package was waiting for us. And inside was a lovely saucer, this one, that I actually needed because I got 4 teacups in a thrift store, but I only had 3 saucers. And now I have that lovely one that came in a package, plus that somebody in Canada gave me also a saucer. So I have an extra now, a spare. And I'm thinking, I have some plates on the wall in the kitchen, and I don't have a willow plate like that on the wall. So maybe I'll put one of them up on the wall since I have an extra now, and then I have a full set. So I wanted to thank both of you. You know who you are. Thank you so much for sending us the saucer and for giving it to us in person in Quebec. We're very, very happy, or I am very happy.
But maybe you find another cup one day and suddenly you...
Right, yeah.
You never know.
Or if I find another cup, then I would have 5, which is, it's interesting because if I have 5 sets, that's wrong in my Virgo mind,
Yeah.
I should have 4. No, this is quite interesting. I should have 4 sets.
Yeah.
Or I should have 6 sets in my Virgo mind. But it's also my Western.
I think 6 sets.
6, yeah.
It's a good number.
Yeah, but listen to what I was going to say. So in my Virgo mind and in Western thinking, 6 or 4 is the right number. But in Japan, they come in 3s or in 5s. So they have odd numbers. So I mean, considering the Japanese culture, yeah, it's completely opposite. And we have a friend who used to do, I think she still does, kaori. She does all these things for homeware, home furnishings and things. And she used to show her things in trade shows. And then, you know, she'd have like napkin rings and things like that, chopsticks, sets. And then some things came in the sets of 4, the sets of 5. And then people like Western buyers from US, Europe would ask her if she could add an extra so that they were even. So we think in even numbers. In Japan, it's odd numbers. I wonder why.
But you have, I don't know, but you have a collection.
Yeah. I mean, I have 5 plates.
This is not a collection yet. This is a pair. You need one more.
Yeah. Anyway, they look. That's very nice when they're stacked like that.
Yeah.
One.
I've never seen them before.
Yeah, very nice.
These are nice. So
anyway, it was just a digression. But you know, if I were a Virgo in Japan, I would have had one too many. If I had 4, so I would have needed to get rid of one or acquired a 5th one. So, but meanwhile, I'm in Europe, so I need 6 or 4. I have 4 now.
But I don't think the number will stop you. Suddenly you see more, and the collection is growing.
Yeah, I know.
The more
As it does.
It's always nice.
Yeah.
When you have people over and everybody can have the same style,
yeah.
or you can mix.
Yeah, we can do that as well.
Yeah. So should we talk a little bit about our trip?
Oh, yeah,
It's been exciting.
It was a whirlwind of a trip. I think it's going in the history books as probably the most interesting adventure we've ever had. And we really had a fabulous time, believe it or not. I mean, after everything we're going to tell you, the conclusion is still going to be that we had a fantastic time on the trip. I loved it.
And things didn't go right the way it should because of a lot of things we couldn't control. But thinking about it now, just a few days after we're home, there was also a lot of nice things happening.
Yeah, we had a phenomenal group of people who made it so easy for us.
Yeah, luckily.
Luckily. And there were hugs, and I think people got very close on this trip.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, considering what we went through, and now everybody's wondering, what did you go through? Tell us. Okay.
Yeah. So
we started the trip in Quebec.
Yeah.
The Quebec part of the trip went very well until the last day. Anyway, we stayed at the beautiful Chateau Frontenac, which we really loved. A beautiful hotel. The city was amazing. We loved
nice,
Quebec City.
When you walked into that old town and you see these old houses, and then on top of the mountain behind the house you have this Chateau Frontenac. It looks like a fairy tale city.
Yeah,
when
beautiful.
you saw it from down there.
Food was interesting. I would say a lot of maple syrup. That's how I think that's how I will what I would say about the food. Very interesting food. Lots of maple syrup. There's a food culture there for sure. A very interesting food culture. We had some of the classic dishes. I did not have poutine, but you did.
I had it 2 times.
Yeah, you really like the poutine, yeah.
I think it was nice.
Yeah, I tried other things, and then we went to a traditional sugar shack, cabane au sucre. That was very nice, where they served, actually, that was interesting, because the food that they served in the sugar shack was very similar to what we would have here in Norway. Kind of the yellow beans with...
it's like what we call a call cord.
Yeah, or in Sweden it would be like a bean soup.
Yeah.
No, sorry, not beans. I'm talking about peas.
Peas.
A yellow pea. Yeah.
Soup.
So we in Sweden and in Norway, there's like a yellow pea soup that has pieces of ham in it, and it was something like that in Quebec. And then it had the ham on the side with the maple syrup, and the pancakes obviously with the maple syrup, and then they had the, what was it called again? Tire sur neige. The
when
stick that you rolled on the ice with the maple
in the
syrup like
snow.
that.
Maple syrup on snow and a stick, and you
Yeah.
roll it.
The French name stuck in my mind, but I can't remember what the English name was for that.
Maple syrup on a stick.
Yeah, well, let's call it that. Maple syrup on a
Make
stick.
it easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So-
in French, it was. I mean, the French translation is pull on the snow.
Pull on
so
the snow.
the maple syrup is cold on some ice or something, and then you get the stick and you roll it like that. It was actually quite nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of very maple syrup friendly food, but delicious. I mean, very good.
that's very good.
So we were able to do the Sugar Shack. We did. We had an amazing walking tour of Quebec City with a fantastic
Guide.
He was
two guides.
amazing. Well, two guys. We had one, and then the group was split in two. So we had one guide, and then half the group had another guide. Our guide was amazing. Actually, I heard the other guide was very good too.
Yeah.
Gave us a lot of the history of Quebec. Very interesting.
That was very nice.
Yeah, and then we had a big event in collaboration with Biscotte Yarns.
Yeah.
Biscotte is the company that dyes. They sell a lot of hand-dyed Canadian yarns, and so they were the ones that made the kits for us, the yarn kits with yarn that we had designed ourselves. I mean, not by our own hand.
Which we can't show because I don't think we have it here. The yarn?
We don't have it here.
No.
Of course we don't.
Of course not.
Of everything.
Actually, I finished the hat. We
Yeah.
had the hat project and cowl.
Yeah, it's typical. We brought everything here to the dining room, and we forgot to bring the yarn. So
But can you buy the yarn still?
no, not right now, I think. But anyway, okay. We'll show it next time. But we had some hand yarn dyed, we had some yarn dyed by hand for our trip for the people that came with us. We had a hat design, a cowl design, and we worked with a company called Biscotte Yarns. And then we had an event at the Chateau Frontenac for the general public.
Yeah.
So we had 130 guests there to hear us talk about ourselves. And then we did book signings, and it was fun.
And that was nice. We met so many nice people.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of signing. They were actually meant to be like a mingling, what you call it. But we never left the table because we were
Busy signing.
busy signing. But
Yeah.
that's also nice.
And we were very happy that so many French Canadians showed
Yeah.
up. Even if the event had to be in English, we had a majority French Canadian on that event, which was great.
And then also we met Dee, which I've been emailing with. So thank you, Dee, Dale, because she came with the outfit.
All right, you met her at the event.
Yeah, she bought one Ken outfit for me that she found on Facebook. So I got Ken in Switzerland.
But you didn't get the doll, just the
No, the
outfit.
doll we got from our friends Lisa and Lila when they came to Vancouver. But the outfit is on him, and then I traded this one with Norwegian chocolate. And
Which
this
is, I have the...
you have the ice
I have the
skater.
ice skater now. This is the roller skater.
This is the roller
But you're
skater.
lacking the pants. You don't have the pants yet.
I think they didn't come with pants, but I've seen pictures, so there
He
should
didn't
be
come
like-
with pants?
No.
So what's he wearing when he's skating? Underwear?
No, there should
Sweater?
be on the pictures I've seen is a corduroy.
Yeah, right. So he must have pants.
Yeah, so we don't have the corduroy pants,
pretty,
but we
though.
have other pants. So
We should design this.
I was thinking about that we should actually knit those Ken sweaters for ourselves.
Yeah.
Because that's possible.
Oh, yeah.
This one is
But this
so
is
cool.
really nice. Look at the...
Yeah, I like that one. So that was what we got there. And then after we finished in Quebec, we were supposed to go to Vancouver.
No.
No, we were going to Toronto.
Toronto.
See, I hardly know.
And that's where the hardship started. So Quebec City was fabulous. Everything went according to plan. We had a great time. Then it was time to leave and take a flight from Quebec City to Toronto. We got to the airport in the morning,
And
only
then-
to find out that our flight had been canceled. And then we had a beautiful day at the airport, which was...
That was the whole day. First they canceled our flight, then there was another flight. They canceled that flight, and then
Yeah.
there was another one. And
We have strong suspicions that they had 4 half-empty flights from Quebec to Toronto, they decided to consolidate. And so therefore, they canceled 2 of the flights and kept 2. Unfortunately, the one flight that they canceled was ours at 10 in the morning. So we couldn't leave until 8 in the evening.
And we know this has happened in Europe also. They cancel flights because they're too empty.
So there's fuel issues.
Issues.
But anyway, it was a long day at the airport, but actually it passed pretty quickly because what happens with knitters when they are stuck at airports is that they just take out their knitting and they knit. And some even finished their projects while they were waiting.
Quite a bit. So I gave away some of these, but I'm cleaning now the kid silk case. We have only 1 ball in each color. So this is 2 ends of kid silk, so doll jacket. I think I finished 3 in the airport. This is the last one I made. I haven't sewn it in, so this is number 3.
Yeah.
And then I brought some also, so I have put buttons on them. So this
And you finished these at the airport? Some of them?
Yes. 3 was finished in the airport.
Good.
And I found these buttons in the thrift store. That was in Edmonton.
Yeah, so we'll get to Edmonton in a bit.
And this is another one.
So anyway, we were at the airport the whole day. There was something funny that happened, though, I have to say. The few hours before the flight, we went to wait at the gate. And by the gate, there was a piano. And then there was this random guy who was also stuck, who was not a musician, but he liked music and he liked the piano and he could play quite well. So he played and sang, and he had a huge audience there because we were all stuck. I mean, there were a lot of people there clapping, and it was like sitting in one of those fancy hotel bars, with the pianist. Except you were on an airport and you're pissed because the flight is still not
But we were very quiet there, actually. So for a while, it was almost only our group.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes I was thinking, if you sit in a hotel or you sit in a ship or if you sit in the airport lounge and you knit, we got a lot of knitting done.
We did, yeah.
You have to think positive.
And Air Canada gave us 2 vouchers, one for lunch and one for dinner. Interestingly, the vouchers were for $15 each, and there was nothing there that cost $15. So we always went over with our vouchers. Again, why can't they just give us $20 or $25? Anyway, it was an adventure. We then flew with Air Canada from Quebec to Toronto, landed, and Arne and I, we have Star Alliance Gold. So we have because we travel so much, we have status with Star Alliance, and Air Canada is part of Star Alliance. So when we checked in our bags, we were able to check in a 3rd bag for free, and they tagged our bags with a priority tag. So when we got to Toronto and landed, 10 hours late, we got our bags quite quickly.
Yeah.
And so we said to the tour leader, we'll go out and wait for you outside and look for the bus. When we walk outside, we can't find the bus driver. So we start panicking and texting with the tour leader who's inside. But then they don't come out.
No. And then
the tour leader and the group, they're still there. So we have plenty of time. And we have with us a really nice guy in our group, Roberto, who likes to organize things. He's good at that, like an organizer.
He's also from Canada, so he
Canadian.
Understand a little bit more.
So he helped us with the bus, and actually, thanks to him, we finally located the bus, and that took 45 minutes. And so we had the bus now, and we knew where it was, and we were holding the bus for 45 minutes and thinking, well, people will come out. Now, Roberto had also Star Alliance Gold, so his bags were also priority tagged. So, and then one person in our group who wasn't priority tagged, she got her bag as well. So anyway, we were 5 with our bags. The rest of the group was stuck, and they didn't come out for another hour and 15 minutes. So they were waiting for the bags for 2 hours, and there were so many different explanations we heard. Something about lightning. Which we don't understand how lightning can impact on the bags. But the final explanation was that they had to move the plane. So they took out our bags, the priority bags, and then they had to move the plane.
Because there was an emergency.
There was another plane landing.
I have no clue.
It doesn't make sense.
They pulled the plane out, and then
they lost the plane.
They couldn't find the plane. How hard can it be to find an airplane in
Yeah.
what you call that again? Airport.
Anyway,
You can't lose the airplane.
long story short, the bags finally arrived. We got on the bus and we went to the Westin in Toronto where we stayed.
Yeah.
So far so good. And then in the morning, we went to Retail Heaven for Knitters, which is the Knitting Loft in Toronto.
Yeah.
Amazing yarn store, amazing.
It's very nice.
With great owners, Maria and her mom. Fantastic. So we had a great time at the store.
And I bought something which I should not have done, maybe.
Oh God! Yeah,
Again, I found more for the glitter. You like it? So gold, silver.
I like the
gold.
silver one the most.
Yeah, and a red one.
Yeah, that's where I put my
That's
foot
where
down.
it stopped. And
Oh my
a
God.
dark blue.
This is the best one. Why couldn't you just buy 4 of this and make all the garlands in silver?
You can have one in every color.
Yeah, but
You can
I don't
have more
want
in
to-
every color.
Arne, I don't want one in every color. I just like the silver one.
But I also had a blue one, light blue. And I finished that one. I finished one what you call that? Garter?
Garland.
Garland. It's so beautiful.
Which is an I-cord.
I-cord.
Why?
I don't know how many
why?
meter I got out of one ball, but it came out quite much.
Why? Why?
One year we had the Christmas tree in the greenhouse with all this because it was too much for
Next
you.
time we go to a yarn store, I'm going to go in first, and then I'm going to hide all that yarn so that he doesn't find
Oh,
it.
I spotted this one quite quick, you know.
Yeah,
I was
I
like,
knew you did.
but I managed to finish one on the tour. See?
Yeah.
Nice.
Anyway, we had a great time at the Knitting Loft. Except for that. Then we had a free afternoon in Toronto when Arne and I went looking for some thrift stores. And then in the evening, we did an event with the Toronto Knitters Guild, which was fantastic. We had over 200 people there. We signed a lot of books. We had a meet and greet. We talked with everybody. It was fabulous. But it was a little bit overshadowed, the event, by something that happened in Canada, more or less at the same time as we were waiting for our bags the night before. There was a derailment on the railway, and we were going to take the train from Toronto to Vancouver. And so we were told soon before we got on stage, we were told that the train was canceled. The train wouldn't leave Toronto. And that we could possibly get it from Winnipeg if we could get to Winnipeg, otherwise from Edmonton.
But we did our lecture.
Of course,
And
the show must go on.
It was very nice. We met a lot of nice people. And
then we went back to face
facts.
the situation with the group. Everybody was so disappointed. Of course, we were too. And then it was quite difficult for us to get to Winnipeg because there were not many flights available and not for as many people as we needed.
so some of us went thrifting.
As one does when
As
one has a
one
major
does.
crisis.
Or you go to the yarn store.
Or you go to the Chinese restaurant. That's what others do when they face a crisis. So that kind of shows how different Arne and I are. When Arne has a crisis, he goes shopping. And when I have a crisis, I go to the best Chinese
You
restaurant
came
I
with
can.
me. The restaurant was in the evening.
Yeah. But I'm just telling everybody how we deal with crisis differently.
You need Chinese food.
You shop, I eat. And living in China for many years in my youth, I do have a very good relationship with Chinese food, which I adore. So, and also when you're in a place like Toronto, obviously you're going to get better Chinese food in Toronto than what we get at our local Chinese restaurant here, which is not
I think
that
maybe
great.
7 people or something went for dinner earlier, and we start talking about Chinese food, and suddenly we were a whole group who went for Chinese food.
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing
And
was...
that was maybe one of the loveliest dinners we have had ever.
Yeah.
On a trip like this.
Oh, yeah. So here's the thing. We were going to have Chinese with our friend Cheryl on the day we were late. So we couldn't have the dinner then. And and I was very upset about that. That was like for me, the trip was ruined because we couldn't go and have that Chinese meal. That's how badly I felt about it. And then we're sitting there waiting, and it turns out we have to have an extra night in Toronto because we can't get to I mean, we could get to Winnipeg, but the point is, at that time, we didn't know if we could, but we had to stay in Toronto. So I said to Cheryl, now you book that Chinese restaurant again, and we're going to go. And then I turned around and I asked, how many want Chinese? And we ended up with 18 people coming to the Chinese restaurant. And it wasn't like any Chinese restaurant. It was a authentic, 100% authentic Chinese people who caters to the Chinese community in Toronto. In case you're wondering, the name of the restaurant, it was the Congee Queen. So there you go. Congee is the Congee. It's the rice porridge that is eaten in China. So the Congee Queen. And living in China, so we got 2 tables of 9 each. And then I just started ordering. And then the people in the other table said, are you ordering for us as well? And I said, yes, everything I'm ordering double. So you'll get your, and we'll get ours. I'll get mine, obviously. me, when it comes to food. Anyway, so yeah, I ordered everything the way I like ordering it and the way I used to order it in China. So you get a little bit of everything. You get a little bit of all the different proteins, chicken, you get pork, you get beef, duck, and then seafood, fish, obviously. And then some things with sauce, some things without sauce, some vegetables, Chinese vegetables, some tofu. And then you order 9 to 10 dishes. I mean, usually 9. The table is 9, so you order 9 plus 1 dish for the table, so 10. And then you've got these lazy Susans, and you just pick like that. People were really happy with that meal. Yeah. And some people thanked me for giving them an experience they'd never had before. They'd never eaten at an authentic Chinese restaurant. And then they liked us. The people at the restaurant really liked us. So they came to me and they said that they wanted to offer us dessert on the house. And I said, sure, how lovely. And I was expecting something traditional Chinese because it was an authentic restaurant and not ice cream. If they would have brought ice cream, I would have been highly disappointed because that would have made this a tourist experience. But no, they bought a brown bean soup, which was a little sweet, but not very sweet. Very typical, authentic Chinese dessert.
I think it was good.
Yeah, it was a great night.
I don't think I had that before, but it was very good. So I think you did a good job.
I did a good job. I think so too. And it was one of the highlights of the trip. You go on a train trip to Canada and you ask, what was the highlight of the trip? A Chinese meal that we had with 18 people in Toronto. Yeah. So anyway, we couldn't get on in Winnipeg. We were too many and there weren't enough seats. A couple from our group, so 2 couples actually, they went on to Winnipeg and they got on the train.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we went to
Edinburgh. No,
not Edinburgh. Because
Edmonton.
But with our luck, maybe we could have ended up in Edinburgh in Scotland. That would have actually not surprised me.
No, Edmonton.
Yeah.
Edmonton.
So we went to Hamilton Airport, another airport, and we took a flight to Edmonton. We didn't actually catch the flight because it wasn't like we were in a hurry to run and catch it because we arrived in time, 2 hours ahead.
And then we did
the crew timed out.
Yeah, and we did some therapy shopping again. So I called the...
Oh yeah, that's when we arrived in Edmonton. Yeah. Now I'm just saying the crew timed out. So that flight was delayed too.
Yeah, that was also delayed.
Mm-hmm. Anyway,
how is this possible on one trip, having all these things, one after the other?
So anyway, we get to Edmonton. We get to Edmonton at 2 a.m, our time, but it's Toronto time, 2 a.m. But it was midnight because Edmonton is another time zone.
So the next day after lunch, I called one of the local yarn stores, but we were like 2:30, and they closed at 3. And I got the answering machine, so I called and said, "This is Arne Carlos, we're in town and we have a group of people. Could you hold the store open a little bit longer for us?"
It was called the Little Blue...
That's a good question.
The Little Blue Studio, I think, or the Little Blue Fiber Studio, something like that.
So there was someone in the group who recommended it. So
it was Cheryl in Toronto.
Was Cheryl in Toronto who recommended the store?
Anyway, Arne called the owner because he thought that if he called and told her that we were stranded in Edmonton, she might feel sorry for us and keep the store open. Arne left a message And it took a while, but she called back. And she said that when she heard the voicemail that Arne had left, she thought she was being pranked.
Yeah, but she saw,
because he said, hello, my name is Arne from Arne Carlos. We're in Edmonton. Can we come and visit you? And could you keep the store open for an hour?
But she saw it was a Norwegian number.
Yeah, she thought she was being
checked the
pranked
number.
until she checked the country code, and then her jaw dropped because it was Arne called from his number, which is a Norwegian phone number.
So she called me back and said, just come. So then we just send a message on WhatsApp to everybody and just jump in a car and go, because she's keeping the store open for us.
Yeah,
so,
and her name was Kim.
Yeah.
And we understood when we got to her little fiber studio, we understood why she closed at 3, because she greeted us with a sleeping child in her arms, a toddler.
Yeah.
The child was sleeping the whole time through the whole thing. So anyway, we hugged and we thanked her. And we did photos, and we brought all our people who I hope spent a lot of money with Kim. I think they did, because there was nothing else to do.
No.
And yeah, we had a fantastic time there. And we made Kim's day.
Yeah,
Actually, she said it was one of the nicest days she'd ever had at the store. So you see, it took a train derailment. And the fact that we couldn't get on in Winnipeg, it took that to give somebody the best day of their lives in the store.
Yeah. And also people who came, they were happy because they got to do more shopping, and I think everybody who came were happy for her, actually.
Yeah. And meanwhile, we were also eyeing like a mall of antiques, which was at walking distance from her studio.
Actually, I asked her which the best one, and we walked to the best one.
That was a 10-minute walk.
According to her, 10 minutes. We didn't buy much. I found this. This is patterns for dolls, size 7.5 inch. But it says on the front, but on the back it says 15.5 to 17.5. So I'm gonna check if that matches some of the dolls we have, because my plan is to clean the drawers. I have 3 drawers full of fabric, and I think I had to do something with it.
Yeah.
Just to clean the drawers and put the things I do in the dollhouse I have in the storage house, maybe on hangers, and organize it. Then I can fill it with new things.
Exactly, yeah. So anyway, so we did that. We went shopping, and I have to say that from the moment we had news of the derailment until we got on the train in Edmonton, all the time, the spare time we had, we went to a market in Toronto as well that had like vintage stuff. So we did a lot of that. We did a lot of yarn store visits, and Arne and I had to, improvise things, because we needed to keep our people. We needed to keep morale up.
Yeah.
We needed to make sure everybody was, I'm sure the disappointment of the derailment was huge, but we wanted to keep people happy, and we wanted to keep morale up, and we wanted to show everybody that we could still have a good time. So we did a lot of improvisation, which we actually turned out to be quite good at. So we did an impromptu workshop on how to knit a sweater that fits you. I ran down to the business center in Toronto at the West End, and I had all these handouts printed that I gave to everybody. And we tried to improvise the workshop. It ended up being improvised partly at the West End in Toronto, and then at the hotel in Edmonton on the floor of the second floor lounge where everybody was hanging out while we were waiting for the train. So, I mean, all in all, we did what we could to keep spirits up, which was great. And then we finally got on the train on the evening. So we got 2 nights on the train. We were supposed to have 4 nights, but we got 2. We got on the train, and when we got, the bunk beds were already made up in our cabin, and we met our cabin attendant, and we went around and we looked at everything. And then we had an early night, and then in the morning when we woke up, we were in the Rocky Mountains.
Yeah.
And that was beautiful, of course. The Rocky Mountains were beautiful.
In Jasper.
Yes.
But we didn't leave the train.
I was so tired I didn't get off. There was a really nice car at the end of the train that had like a lounge.
Yeah.
We sat there and we knitted. And then there were the cars with the dome where we also sat on occasion. And
you
here's the question that we're asking ourselves now. I mean, we've been asking it since we got on the train.
I think I know where you're going.
We were supposed to be on the train for 4 days and 4 nights. So getting on in the morning in Toronto and then leaving in the morning in Vancouver, and then spending a couple of days, 3 days on the train. We ended up getting on in Edmonton and getting off in Vancouver. We had 2 nights and we had a full day. And the question is whether that was enough or not. And I know the answer to that question.
I think it was enough.
Yeah. So,
we see this. So we got people been recommending this to us, and it's so fantastic. And like there was one that is funny is when we talked to people in Toronto that our train was derailed. Everybody, all the Canadians we talked to said, "Oh, don't worry. The first 2 days is only flat.
It's
you won't
prairie.
see any prairie."
Somebody described it like this: you're sitting on the train, you take a picture of the prairie, and then you put your phone down, and then you knit for an hour, and then you put your phone up, you take a picture, and then you can't tell which is which because it looks just the same. So I believe that, but that's not the reason why I say 2 is enough. Two nights was enough, but considering the whole thing and what we're doing, and for me it was the size of the train. I mean, everything's so crowded.
And it's quite noisy at night also.
Yeah, and the corridors when you're passing people, if there's one person coming against you, it's like on a road, right? That is narrow. One has to back. Otherwise, you can't get through. So they had put up the bunks. They had put up the bunks, right, for the day. And I was so tired after everything that had happened. I wanted to take a nap, but I didn't know how to get the bed down. So I ended up just taking my backpack and putting it on the floor and then lying on the floor of my cabin to have a nap. The one thing I really loved was the dinner, though.
The dinner was good.
The dinner was amazing. And that did make me a little sad that we didn't dine in the car more than once. That dinner was spectacular. And it was actually while we were through one of the more beautiful parts of Canada. Yeah. The sun was shining. There were white tablecloths, silverware. It was a 3-course meal. And when I was sitting there, it was wonderful. I said to Arne, I wish we could have more dinners like this on the train.
But it wasn't quite what I've seen on YouTube. I've seen people doing videos from the train, and they didn't say these things that we experienced.
No.
So someone said they're probably paid for promoting it because everything was like fabulous.
I mean, would I have wanted the 10-hour wait in Vancouver? In Quebec, and then the ordeal to get to Edmonton? I mean, I could have lived without that. Could I have lived without 4 nights on the train? Yes, I could, definitely. But I wish we would have had 2 full days.
2 full days would have been good because we had
2 nights. Yeah,
we had 1 full day and 2 nights. Could be nice to have one day more. That could be nice. But it was kind of funny because we walked through these corridors and there was this guy who went in front of us, and he heard we were speaking, and he asked like, "Where are you from?"
Yeah.
And we said, "Oh, we're from Norway." And then it was kind of ironic, said, "Don't you have mountains in Norway?"
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean,
and when we were thinking, I mean, and when he said that, I mean, and I was thinking, oh my God, we've come all the way to Canada to see the Rocky Mountains, and it looks very similar to what we had. I remember when they said that we're going to be slowing the train down for a waterfall on the right side.
Oh, no, they didn't slow
on the left
down
side.
much.
Oh, they did, but they said they would. And I was like, oh, okay, a waterfall.
No, they said there's a waterfall on the left side, and like all of us just went over to look at the waterfall, and then,
yeah.
Okay, that was a waterfall, and then someone screamed, "Oh, there's some bear!"
Not beer, bear.
Bear, and there are like 2 bears.
And then the train goes poof.
We managed to see some elk.
Yeah. But the bears, they just went poof.
No,
Yeah.
so it was kind of funny. But
And then we arrived in Vancouver, and after Vancouver, once we arrived in Vancouver on the scheduled day, and then the program resumed again as it was supposed to be. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about the train. Would we do this again?
No.
This particular trip? The answer is no.
no, but I
This
wish.
this is really a been there, done that.
Yeah, but I wish that we didn't have this black cloud hanging over our head, because then we could enjoy the time in Edmonton and in Vancouver more.
Oh, I enjoyed it.
Not Toronto, but we could have enjoyed it more.
But we enjoyed it.
Yeah, but you were still thinking about
Oh yeah.
things.
We were
It
thinking.
was always
Right. We were thinking about the derailment, but I loved the visit to Kim's yarn shop in Edmonton.
Yeah.
I loved the Chinese restaurant, duh. And I loved everything else we did. So I wouldn't have changed it. It was a great trip. It was a great trip. I mean, I'm sorry, but it was. The things that we couldn't control. And the things that we made out of it, I thought were great. And then you have Air Canada and the delay, the Air Canada delay and the Porter crew timeout. Those are the things that I found the heaviest, really. Those were like, oh God. A trail derailment where the train tracks are damaged and there's no trains that can go there. I mean, we couldn't have fixed it if we wanted to.
unless we're Superman.
Yeah. So, but no, the Canadian train is something that we probably won't do. Probably, I don't think we'll do it again.
There's one train where you can stay in hotels.
The Rocky Mountaineer. We have
That's
our eyes on
something.
that one now.
Yeah. But no.
And we may do, yeah, we may do the Rocky Mountaineer. We may do that one, because that one you sleep in hotels, so you're sleeping in comfort.
Yeah.
So that one I think we'll do at
Then
some
we came
point.
to Vancouver, and we went to the Butchart, is it called?
The beautiful Butchart Gardens,
Butchart Gardens,
which were
That
looking
was
their
nice.
very best. Actually, we went twice. So we had a visit on a Friday and then on a Tuesday, I think it was. And the gardens this time of the year are just breathtaking.
And it was kind of nice because just being there, we went on Friday and Tuesday.
Yeah.
So from Friday to Tuesday, there were more tulips that had opened. There were some flower beds where they were not.
And then the magnolias
ready.
were in bloom, the rhododendrons were in bloom, the hyacinths were blooming, the camellias were blooming, the cherry trees were blooming, the magnolia. I mean, it was just a spectacle.
And we also met our friends from Calgary in Vancouver, so we had some time together. And
We did.
so thank you to Lisa and Lilla. They brought a lot of things for us. Like they brought this one, which I found on eBay, and it's in Canada. So it was they bought it for us because it's cheaper to
And then this lovely,
pick it up when you're there.
this lovely masquerade costume. And then look at this, the PJ, the Ken with the pajamas.
And another one of the, I think this is the good looking. Oh, he's naked. We have to be careful.
Yeah.
Oh, look. Oh,
Yeah.
he's there. He's down there. Okay.
And then they got us this beautiful Julia, which Arne has wanted for a long time, because we have all these beautiful fabrics that we bought in South Africa. And Arne wants to make her a lot of little beautiful South African dresses. But anyway, look at how beautiful.
She is so
She's probably the
beautiful.
most beautiful Barbie that we have.
I couldn't
and-
find the black. I have one black, I think it's Christy
Yeah.
or something.
And the hair has oxidated. So actually the hair was black originally, but it's oxidated and it looks amazing. I love this hair.
She is so beautiful.
But anyway, Vancouver is as spectacular as always. We've been there before, Granville Island and downtown and Stanley Park and all of that. And then we were privileged to leave and spend time in Vancouver Island. On Vancouver Island, we did a knitting retreat there with a friend. And we spent 3 nights in Victoria, and then we did the Butchart Gardens again. And I have to say, I love Victoria. I love Vancouver Island. I could definitely live there. I could, and it looks very similar
to home.
except the trees are taller. They have these very tall trees that we don't have in Norway. But otherwise, it looks exactly the same. Not really, but I mean similar. And then we got to take a float plane to Vancouver because we needed to go back for a big lecture, which we did with our friends over at Urban Yarn in a golf club. Again, a couple of hundred people, a fantastic evening. And we got to take a float plane that lands and takes off from the water. I love that trip.
So that was also
The
very
float
nice.
the float plane trip was spectacular. So much fun, and it gets you to Canada Place on Vancouver. I mean, in Vancouver downtown, which was incredible from Victoria. A great way to travel, and it had to be like that because the organizers at Urban Yarns were worried. You know, what if we have more bad luck and we don't get there with the ferry? So then, of course, float plane, we're there, and all that.
And then I went shopping in Victoria to this flea market. So there was this in the store. There were like bags with things hanging. So I found one bag with doll clothes, and this was like out in the store, so you could pick it yourself. And then when we left the store, I found this one, another bag with doll clothes, but this was behind like this counter, and you couldn't just take it and look at it. You had to ask for it, and it says it's collectibles. And I haven't opened them yet because maybe that collectible is nicer than this one. This is called just house toy bags, and that is collectible.
We'll see what it is one day.
Maybe we could open one of them.
Yeah, but we need to freeze it first. Remember?
It's been in the freezer.
Okay, but not
now. We can do it later.
Yeah.
We can open it and show all of you how much nice things there.
So we have a few more things to show, but time is running out.
Yeah.
So we've been knitting on some stuff on the train as well that we wanted to show you. One of them is the one that Arne has been talking a lot about. We are calling it the T-shirt with our sock yarn.
And it's growing. See, I have now joined the sleeves, and I'm doing this as a raglan. But the sleeves are very narrow compared to the body because of the T-shirt. And I was not sure if it worked actually for a while.
It works.
But this morning I tried it on.
And it looks really nice in our sock yarn. So, you know, we're calling it socks and more because you can really do more with this yarn. And look at how great the design is coming out. And then, of course, Arne can't not start projects before he finishes.
To do more.
You're not very monogamous with your knitting. So here's the second one coming up with another one of our... This is one of our latest colorways.
That is called Lantern Night. And this is called... What was this called again?
Ransfjord?
Ransverk?
Something.
Ransverk, maybe. And this is...
This is Lantern Night. This is this colorway here. So yeah, it is looking really nice. So it's great yarn to knit other things than socks. So.
Yeah, that's why it's called Socks and More. But I was a little bit... I have never done a raglan with so tight sleeves before in T-shirt style. So I was really happy when I tried it on this morning, and I see it works, because if the sleeves are too tight, it can come out really bad.
Yeah.
But we have this trick we do, but I haven't done it before, and it works.
Yeah. So anyway, this is more or less what we have time to show you today. So the sock yarn projects are going very well. We're going to go and launch our new sock yarn. We have a brand new design and colorways coming. So we're going to Chicago for a couple of days. It's not a public event, so there's no way to see us there. We're just going to a closed trade show.
48 hours.
For 48 hours, we're going to be at the trade show with our distributor, introducing our latest yarn to yarn stores and retailers. And then we'll be back, and we're going straight to Italy for a garden tour, and then we're going straight to the UK for a UK garden tour. So we're looking forward to that. So yeah, May will be busy, and we'll be back at the end of the month with a new Sit in It for a Bit recap, where we'll talk about those trips.
We're going to continue with more stuff, because we have so much new stuff.
We do,
but
yeah.
it will take 2-3 hours.
Yeah, it will. And now it's time. I'm feeling a little bit heavy and tired. I think we need to rest a little and recuperate. And we're going to London on Monday, so plenty to do here right now.
And we have to go to the grocery store where they have the post, because we have a box of yarn coming from Japan.
Right, for a project that we're working on.
That's exciting.
So this was our Sit in It for a Bit trip today. Conclusion is that we're not going to do the Canadian again.
No.
But we may do the Rocky Mountaineer at some point, maybe.
And we're coming back to do more workshops in Canada anytime, because that was really, really lovely.
Oh yeah. Canada is probably on our radar for next year, a tour in Canada again. Yeah. So that's the conclusion. We hope that you have enjoyed this episode. If you have, please give it a big thumbs up. Remember to like, subscribe, and engage with our content as well, as that helps us. And if you want additional content, you can always join the membership area here on our YouTube channel for badges, emojis, and a whole bunch of fun shenanigans, quizzes, and other things. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again very soon.
Bye.
Bye. Och så bilder.